You see so many people suffering, and the suffering certainly comes from not having certain resources that weren't planned for, but the suffering also comes because we haven't learned to manage our own fears, our own emotions. I know the Soviet Union in the 60s did a bunch of studies on how much they could embed fear into people until they would just comply. And it literally took less than 2 months where when people then were revealed the truth, they wouldn't change their mind. And I think it's so critical to understand that wealth is mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's financial. It's also health, it's physical. And so if you don't have abundance in all levels and all you have is a lot of money, I know a lot of people, a lot of money, they're very poor. I know a lot of people have very little money, but they're very wealthy in the quality of their life. I really believe that the extraordinary quality of life is what we're all after. It's people come to me and they'll say, I want to grow my business, 200%, or, I want to lose 30 pounds, or I want to turn my relationship around, or can you please do something with my kid, or whatever. But all these things have in common is what we're really after when we're after money is a better quality of life. We want to have more autonomy, more freedom, more choices. And it's not even that you don't work, because you and I both are in a position we don't have to work another day of our lives, and we both have friends that have sold their businesses for plenty of money, hundreds of millions we have, and some people billions, some of our friends. And then you see them happy for about 3 months on average. I've seen this happen so many times, because it's not so you have enough money you don't work, it's you have enough money you don't have to work, so you do what you love because you want to do it. Then you walk different, you talk different. But it doesn't start with the money, it starts with a psychology. And what I try to get across to people is the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions, like where you live emotionally. We all have an emotional home. So think of it like, we all know people that are pissed off all the time. Doesn't matter what's happening. They find something to be pissed off about. We all know people that worry all the time. There's nothing to worry about in their own life, their own kids. They worry about the universe, right? Someday the sun's going to explode and the earth's going to be gone, And so warriors worry, I should say, right? Angry people get angry. We all know some people that, think they're funny, but they're not really, but they crack themselves up and you find yourself laughing too. So human emotion, you could have $1 billion. And if every day you live in the emotion of pissed off or frustrated or overwhelmed, then your life is pissed off, frustrated, overwhelmed. Doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't wait to get beyond, fear. You can't wait to get beyond, living in scarcity. You got to start beyond it. It's your decisions, much more than your conditions, that are going to determine the quality of your life. It's our decisions that have done that, our fearful decisions. So if you want an extraordinary quality of life right now while you're building the financial side of wealth, and you want the other side of wealth now, you have to learn to discipline your mind. You have to learn to discipline your disappointment. Because life is filled with disappointments. Disappointment either destroys you or it drives you. I think there's 2 skills everybody has to master. Skill, if you want an extraordinary life. Skill number 1 is the skill of being able to really master your ability to achieve. Master your ability, I call it the science of achievement. It's like the capacity to take where you are right now and say, no matter what's happening, here's how I'm going to get there. Now, it's not going to be a straight line. Lots of people achieve. I interviewed more than 50 multi-billionaires, all people who started with nothing. Nobody from the Lucky Sperm Club. They all did it on their own. And they did it in all different ways. Whether it's Ray Dalio or Carl Icahn or Warren Buffett or anybody, Paul Tudor Jones. What's really interesting is not everybody, no matter how much money they have, is fulfilled. And that is really the ultimate test, because success or money without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Making much money and you're miserable, you don't get along with your kids, or you don't have love in your life. And so I think the second master skill is the art of fulfillment. You've got to master what fulfills you, and that's different for everybody. It's like you go to the forest and you see everything's different. So if you want to know what the universe or God or whatever your belief structure is, whatever made all this, certainly loves diversity. And so your ability to find that fulfillment today, not someday when you have a certain amount of money, because it's like when I tell people about giving, they go, oh yeah, easy for you, you give, you're wealthy. And no, if you won't give a dime out of $1, you're sure as hell not going to give, $25 million like you and I are doing this year, or anything of that nature to people. You're not going to take that and do that. But if you learn to give, if you learn to operate in a way that's more fulfilling, if you learn that it's not just about getting, it's about growing, becoming, and giving.
I talk to so many smart, fantastic, ambitious, idealistic, hard-working kids, and they're right out of college, they're in their entry-level jobs, and I'll ask them, how's it going? And they'll say, I think I'm gonna quit. And I'm like, why? They say to me, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months, right? They treat the sense of fulfillment or even love like it's a scavenger hunt, like it's something you look for. My millennial friends, they've gone through so many jobs. They're either getting fired, I mean it was mutual, or they're quitting because they're not making an impact, or they're not finding the thing they're looking for, or they're not feeling fulfilled, as if it's a scavenger hunt. Love, a job you find joy from, is not something you discover. It's not like, I found love. Here it is. I found a job I love. That's not how it works. Both of those things require hard work. You are in love because you work very hard every single day of your life to stay in love. You find a job that brings you ultimate joy because you work hard every single day to serve those around you, and you maintain that joy. It's not a discovery. But the problem is this sense of impatience. It's as if an entire generation is standing at the foot of a mountain. They know exactly what they want. They can see the summit. What they can't see is the mountain. This large, immovable object. That doesn't mean you have to do your time. That's not what I'm talking about. Take a helicopter, climb, I don't care. But there's still a mountain. Life, career fulfillment, relationships are journeys. The problem is, this entire generation has an institutionalized sense of impatience. And do they have the patience to go on the journey to maintain love, to feel fulfilled? Or do they just quit and on to the next, dump and on to the next, ghost and on to the next?
You don't have to necessarily have done anything wrong for things to get completely out of control. It's a terrifying doctrine, but it's not a hopeless doctrine because it still says that there's a way forward, there's a pathway forward, and the pathway forward is to adopt a mode of being that has some nobility so that you can tolerate yourself and perhaps even have some respect for yourself as someone who's capable of standing up in the face of that terrible vulnerability and suffering, and that the pathway forward, as far as the existentialists are concerned, is by, well, certainly by the avoidance of deceit, particularly in language, but also by the adoption of responsibility for the conditions of existence and some attempt on your part to actually rectify them. And the thing that's so interesting about that is, well, two, as far as I'm concerned, and some of this is from clinical experience. You know, if you take people, and I've told you this, and you expose them